from the disturbing childhood, both from financially and proximity point of view, to prison, to basically reinventing yourself into this brand, and then subsequently establishing a brand, and then working with some of the well-known people in the industry that we see. So tell me, this is obviously, any journey of transformation is incredibly fucking painful, right? Nothing is going to just be, and nothing worth getting is ever going to be easy. PhDs, building a car, starting a car company like Musk, setting up this, getting out of that rut is very fucking difficult. And one thing I've noticed about you is your relationship with pain seems to be really good, and it is channeled in the right way, where you use it as fucking fuel to propel yourself forward, whether that's running in the fucking snow or running in the forest, in rain, training, boxing, like really pushing through those walls, brick walls. When you hit that brick wall, what is going through your mind in that moment? Because we all do it, but 99% of the people say, fuck this, done.
So for me, again, it goes back to the childhood. The suffering and the pain that I watched both my parents go through gave me a high. I used to embrace that pain, but it used to give me this self-confidence that I'm going to resolve it and I'm going to embrace it. And it wasn't until my dad created that confusion where, again, going back to where he used to hit me and I used to cry as a child would, and then when he used to say to me, why you cry? And he used to hit me harder and told me not to cry, which taught me not to embrace pain. Does that make sense? So I started to create this mindset that there's no such thing as pain there. And that if it means you're not going to embrace the pain and accept that something painful, it's only going to get harder, pain only gets more, but we can really keep pushing through it. And it stuck to my head. And when I was street fighting or when I was in non-violence, I used to be able to handle it. And I remember having this motorbike accident, threw me off. For about 3 years, I was basically in the NHS pronounced paralyzed on my right side of my body.
Mm-hmm.
I lost all sense, everything. I ended up with scoliosis. I had to slap in and take the car from my shoulder, done something to my hips, my knees. And all of a sudden, I was advised by the doctors not to exercise. Being a personal trainer got to my head. And at that time, not being myself, I took that advice and accepted it. And eventually, started to need some sense. And to the point where my mum would literally get a light on and hold it against my hand, and I couldn't feel nothing. And I didn't know whether it was because I was mentally tough and I can take physical pain or embrace the full process that there is no pain. But I still pushed myself through it, understanding I had this condition. And I'll go to the doctors, I'll get so many scans, and for 3 years, I didn't physically exercise. So from the age of like 18, I said 19 to like 21, 22, I didn't physically exercise until one day I went to get a scan and I had pretty much enough. I got, in a way, assaulted by the doctor. He basically, in front of my PA over at the time, the doctor was gay. He looked at me in a certain way and I felt a certain energy, felt a bit uncomfortable, and he wanted to take me down with me in a certain way where he was making me position myself in certain positions and he was trying to touch me in certain ways. I felt very uncomfortable and maybe touched my toes and held me in a certain way that when I walked out of there, I said to my PF, I'm like, weird, it be. I was an older man, that's all. So I went home.
How old were you?
I was like 21, and I just felt very uncomfortable. So young, I felt very uncomfortable the way he was touching me enough. I was there to get results, to understand what's going on.
You got to trust your doctor. I mean, these guys are Yeah.
But I walked out of there, I was very angry. I didn't want to pay for the service. I ended up paying them like £400 just to get an exam. Didn't find the guy appropriate and then anything well helpful.
Yes.
But I went on the internet and I Googled what is the toughest thing and the hardest thing a man had to overcome, and what did he do? Like, what was the solution of truly embracing pain? Because the pain that I was going through existed. There was something wrong with my right side of my body, and I still suffer with it now. But I wanted to look for a mental and a physical solution rather than a holistic doctor medical solution.
Yeah, pharmacology. Yeah.
So David Goggins came up, and weirdly, I clicked onto it because I saw a fat guy. He was super shredded, and this is going back 5 years. I watched one of his videos, and I'm telling you now, for about 2-3 years I didn't exercise. So I was a PT, wasn't in shape, and I wasn't badly in shape. I always still tried to eat pretty clean, but I wasn't physically the way I am now. And before that injury, I didn't get into bodybuilding. I was heading towards the route of getting to bodybuilding. So I applied for my first UK BFF bodybuilding competition, like when I was naturally built, all natural, shit diet, weightlifting. And being a fat kid, and being someone who's quite built, it was easy for me to put on muscle. So I told myself a coach, and I'm very excited for it. So when that accident happened, it threw me off. And I was sitting in about 100, 110 kilograms after that injury, not in shape. And I was listening to David Goggins and listening to what he did within 4 days, how he ran 100 miles. And I was just really resonated with his mindset. He wasn't a role model, but he definitely sparked something out in me that made me feel like, well, if he can do that, and he's talking about knees and sense and knees and legs on the way of these runs, surely I can do something crazy like that. That's exactly what I did. This was a month before Christmas when I discovered this, and I was listening to this podcast of his. For about a month, I tried to run. I'm telling you, on the first day, I ran up the road, and you can imagine, like, our knees sense, I would trip over, couldn't hold myself upright. I couldn't pick things up. I'm right-handed. I used to use my left hand a lot because I'll pick up a glass and I'd drop it because I couldn't feel it. So I was living in that condition. And then slowly, I started to really embrace pain. I started to feel pain. I started to feel what it felt like to feel like myself when I started to run. And at the time, I was very insecure about myself. You can imagine being someone who's fat, went through the childhood of feeling fat and insecure to being in decent shape, starting, bodybuilding career with himself, and then getting extremely injured. There's 2-3 years where fitness was like my core, was like my savior, was what created my first opportunity into doing something legit. And not being able to exercise, it knocked me down a little bit. And at the time, I knew that social media was growing. At the time, I had around 20,000 followers on Instagram. I knew how powerful social media was, and I knew that it was important that this generation, back then, you had 20,000 followers. It was like having 1 million followers now. Instagram was right then. Gaining followers wasn't as easy as it is today. So I remember listening to these podcasts of David Goggins, and within a month, I ran an ultramarathon. And this is someone who was diagnosed paralyzed on the right side of my body by a doctor, and it wasn't until I went out there, and I remember recording myself, and I kept saying to myself, I'm not going to stop running until I speak to a camera. So I wanted to document this journey of myself, and I've got it all on my phone, that there is no such thing as pain. And I kept saying to myself, there's no pain. And I said to myself, until I don't talk to a camera, because I started feeling insecure with myself, I'm not going to stop running. So that was my driving force. I made a I made like an obligation to myself that until I don't talk to the camera and I record myself and I start posting it, I'm not going to stop running. And that's exactly what I did. Within a month, I worked myself up. In the morning, my dad drove me to Brighton. Got there at 4 a.m. in the morning. At 6 a.m. So, got there at 6 a.m. We woke up at 4. Got to Brighton at 6 a.m. At 8 a.m., I started my run. It took me 12 hours to run from Brighton to London. That was 60 miles, 100 kilometers with no training. Literally, I started running a month before that. I was about 110 kilograms. No doctors, no nutritionists, nothing. Just myself, my traders, my dad side by side in the car, running down the motorway on Christmas Day. I had my Instagram, which I was on live. I had a balaclava on, and I was running from Brighton to London. My views on my live stream was just growing. You can imagine everyone's at home on their phone, Christmas Day, bored. And they're just watching this crazy guy. I keep saying to myself, so I keep telling you, oh no, Pete, it's go champ. But I had so much self-confidence, self-belief that I would do it. And it was freezing cold. It was just snow just before that day that went on Brighton. So you can imagine the weather conditions about -1, -2. And I'm running. Took me 12 hours and something to get to London. And then that made me realize who I am. And there isn't such thing as pay. And tapping into the mindset, the importance of embracing pain and how to use pain to fuel you. And channeling the trauma and the pain to try use it as fuel, but eventually in a dark place like that, when your body's releasing all these endorphins, it feels good. It's so happy, feel relaxed. You're seeing these trees and you're seeing a different way, like even just driving out to the countryside, things look different. It's a form of therapy. And I'm running, I'm looking at the map and I'm getting all these thousands of people watching me and encouraging me to do it. And it wasn't the people that's giving me the motivation. Neither was the pain. It was this person I felt in me. He kept laughing through the pain and just wanted to embrace that I'm a fucking savage and that I don't feel no fucking pain. And I was just laughing and I was using that as fuel and I looked like a madman. The police pulled up multiple times thinking I was trying to commit suicide. On Christmas Day, my dad was pulling up in the car saying, he's right, he's got a talent. That's my son. He's got a target. He can do it. He's going to do it. And I got back, conditioned on my feet. I had this fit for about half an hour. Didn't want to go. Tried hot shower, cold bath. At the time, I was renting a mansion and I had a sink in the back garden. And the sink was freezing cold. They sat me in the sink and I couldn't feel anything. And I'm just laughing for half an hour. I'm having these weird spasm fits. 2 days later, most people after doing the ultramarathon would recover or would, rest. I embraced and loved that pain so much. I went and did another run. And it was about a marathon. And after that, it got to the stage I was running almost a marathon every other day. That's how high I felt from the pain. So now going back to, you notice how I train. You see me how I train at the gym. We've trained together. You see me when we're going through the reps. I just want to keep going and I just want to keep pushing.
So everyone has pain. Okay, the pain is real. We can't say the pain doesn't exist because it does. And people are real because they're watching, they get inspired. Some get, they take whatever they want from watching you, either that is good or bad, right? Look, when you hit that that barrier. I'm trying to understand that when you hit that barrier, and everyone does have that threshold of pain tolerance, right? What happened in that fucking moment in your head? Say, pull a reference of the last 5 crazy runs that you did, right? And maybe it's the repetition, maybe it's the fact that your muscle structure, skeletal muscle tissue is used to of that much running. So now it's relatively easier than someone who's never run before. But you once you hit that spot when you're just like, fuck, this is hard, like I'm just like this is getting too much, the legs are cramping or something like that, or the night you haven't slept well before, any of those situations, right? What do you feel in that moment? Do you feel like I'll just like there's no pain, just telling yourself the narrative that there is no pain, or basically like Goggins, for example, he's got a cookie jar, right? Cookie jar of all the bullshit from the past, the racism, his dad beating him up, his dad beating his mom up, and he's got that cookie jar of bullshit from the past, all the haters. He would, every time he hits that brick wall, digs into that cookie jar and uses one of those to propel him forward. What is that for you?
For me, I've been open is bored.
Boredom?
Being bored.
Okay.
I get bored. I believe I can just keep going, stop the pain and embracing pain. I believe I've got a very strong pain threshold. I don't use my past and my pain to channel it. I genuinely feel like I do it just to heal myself and just to take the piss. I genuinely laugh when I'm doing it. Super competitive where I used to suffer from believing that I used to think someone out there would do it rather than me, or someone out there is working harder than me, or someone out there is gonna feel what I feel when I feel. Only I should feel it. Only I'm allowed to embrace this pain threshold that I can keep pushing myself. And it's a weird feeling that it was just a battle with me just laughing at myself, laughing at the situation, laughing at the pain. And it's not the pain that stops me, because I've proven that when I ran 2 days on a treadmill, another challenge that I did, I ran 2 days on the treadmill until I was fully collapsed. And if it wasn't for my videos on live stream to call the paramedics, I would have known that I collapsed. And when I woke up, the paramedics were saying to me, your blood pressure is low, you need to go to hospital, like you're borderline on the edge of killing yourself. And I said to myself, I looked at the time and said to myself, well, I haven't completed my challenge, I still got 4 more miles to run. I got up, I signed with the doctor, say to him, like, you can go, if anything happens, I'm responsible. Went back on the live stream and ran those 4 miles and felt amazing. It's boredom that stops me, I think.